Sometimes the Psalms offer very general prayers whose background is unknown, but they offer us words to adapt to our own needs. Psalm 56 is different. It is explicit about the situation it addresses, and its pleas to God are equally specific in naming a feeling we've all had from time to time. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Saturday, August 24th, 2024. Many of the Psalms begin with brief notations that most of us barely pay attention to. The notation may be as simple as, of David. It may include what appears to be a musical instruction about a tune to play or instrument to use. And it may even include some notation about the situation behind the psalm. For example, Psalm 51, which we always read on Ash Wednesday as a penitential psalm, has this as its heading: To the leader, a psalm of David when the prophet Nathan came to him after he had gone into Bathsheba. Now that's specific. Psalm 56 includes one of the most obscure headings of all. The heading reads, To the leader, according to the dove on far-off terebinths, of David, a miktam, when the Philistines seized him in Gath. The dove of far-off terebinths? No one has a clue what that means, but the situation it points to is very specific. It concerns an episode in the life of David recorded in 1 Samuel 21. The story is this: Saul was serving as king of Israel, but he had offended God, who then instructed the prophet Samuel to anoint David as king, even as Saul was still on the throne. As word of this reached Saul, he set about to find and kill David, who in turn went into hiding. In 1 Samuel 21, we read a rather obscure episode in which David escapes an apparent attempt on his life by one of Saul's servants and flees to seek refuge in the city of Gath. The heading of Psalm 56 gives the impression that David was a captive of Achish, the king of Gath, but the text of the psalm may refer not so much to Achish, but more likely to Saul as the one who is after him. The psalm begins, Be gracious to me, O God, for people trample on me. All day long foes oppress me. My enemies trample on me all day long, for many fight against me. O Most High, when I am afraid, I put my trust in you. In God, whose word I praise, in God I trust. I am not afraid. What can flesh do to me? All day long they seek to injure my cause, all their thoughts against me for evil. They stir up strife, they lurk, they watch my steps. This is a perfect summary of what it feels like when people attack us. In our case, it may not be physical attack as much as it is verbal attack. It makes us feel defensive, like the walls are closing in on us, or, in the words of the psalmist, like people are trampling on us. It's a really good imagery here to describe this experience we've all had. The psalm continues with a plea to God to repay the evildoers for their crimes, followed by words of trust that God will indeed do as the psalmist asks. As they hoped to have my life, writes the psalmist, so repay them for their crime. In wrath, cast down the peoples, O God. You have kept count of my tossings. Put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your record? Then my enemies will retreat in the day when I call. This I know, that God is for me. In God, whose word I praise, in the Lord, whose word I praise, in God I trust. I am not afraid. What can a mere mortal do to me? So, can thanks be prospective? Can thanks be given for gifts not yet received? According to the psalmist, the answer is yes. It's a little ambiguous, but it appears as though the psalmist here thanks God out of an abundant sense of trust that God will deliver, that God will save. My vows to you I must perform, O God, he writes. I will render thank offerings to you, For you have delivered my soul from death and my feet from falling, so that I may walk before God in the light of life. That's pretty powerful stuff. Next week I'll be away for a brief time of vacation, so I'll provide some devotionals from the archives and then return with new devotionals on September 2nd. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.